I really hate that Ironheart got wrapped up in all this culture war bullshit. Like, you have all these people trying to say that the show is as bad as Secret Invasion or The Marvels, but it's just not. So a little bit of context here. The Ironheart comics suck. They do suck, period, point blank. And so do the original Miles Morales comics by Brian Michael Bendis. Bendis wrote my favorite Spider-Man run, Ultimate Spider-Man. That was my Spider-Man when I was a kid. It was one of the first comics I ever read. And after his success with Spider-Man, Bendis and his wife adopted 2 kids. The 2 kids he adopted were from different races, and he felt kind of frustrated that his kids didn't have heroes that looked like them. So that was the idea behind the conception of Miles Morales, and to an extent also Riri. The only problem I have with that is that he killed off the original Ultimate Peter to replace him with Miles. I think that was a huge overcorrection. I think the 2 characters should have coexisted like they do in the Insomniac games, but that's neither here nor there. Like I said before, the original Miles comics kind of suck ass, but after the Spider-Verse movies and after the Insomniac games, Miles kind of got a brand new personality and a second chance at life. So all the writers after Bendis, they all just kind of ignore what he did and wrote the character from the movie instead. So in the modern day, there are good Miles books, and I like Miles in the movies and the games. I'm just saying the original comics by the white dude who made him kind of suck. And I know this is kind of complicated and it's a nuanced topic, but I think anytime you have a comic about the black experience written through a white person's lens, it comes across as inauthentic, even if you have good intentions. So the same problems with Miles are the same problems with Riri and the original Ironheart comics. They're misguided by good intentions. Riri and Ironheart also being written by Brian Michael Bendis. So Riri was an attempt to make lightning strike twice and repeat what worked for Miles and Spider-Man, but with Riri and Iron Man. And then it completely flopped. Miles got a version 2.0 with the movies, and that kind of fixed his character in the comic books, but that never happened for Riri. At least, it never happened until this show dropped. And I think the show got a really bad rap for 2 reasons. One, just because the MCU is kind of at a low point right now.
Welcome to the MCU, by the way. You're joining at a bit of a low point.
And 2, just because of all the culture war bullshit going on in the modern day. So again, a little bit of perspective here. I really like superhero shows. And there's a difference between superhero slop and then the shows that are actually worth watching. Like, I sat through all the CW shows like Flash and Arrow and Supergirl. I sat through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like Secret Invasion and Miss Marvel, even if I love Miss Marvel, both those projects are still slop. In the worlds of the DC and Marvel universes, the slop is background noise. It's not important. But Ironheart manages to be way better than all the CW DC shows or even most of the Disney Plus shows. If I had to rank them, I'd say Ironheart is better than Miss Marvel or Secret Invasion, but it's not as good as Loki or WandaVision. Like, it's mid, but it's high grade mid. Like, it's on par with Luke Cage, but not Luke Cage season 1. It's on par with Luke Cage season 2. But that brings me to another point. This is a show that's for a different target demographic than most of the other Marvel stuff. Like, when you see Black Panther, you see Luke Cage, those are way different stories than how they handle Daredevil or Captain America. And that's how this show is too. Like, if Miss Marvel is supposed to be the Disney Channel Hannah Montana of the Marvel Universe, then Ironheart is supposed to be the Pretty Little Liars on ABC Family of the Marvel Universe. What I'm saying is that the show's not going to appeal to everyone, but for the people it is intended for, I think it's going to be a cult classic and a big hit. The show starts off kind of rough, but the twist at the end of the first episode is what really defines the show to me. So part of Riri's tragic origin story is that her stepdad and best friend got killed because of gun violence, and then a few years later, Riri accidentally pulls a WandaVision and creates an AI version of her dead best friend while she's sleeping. And that Ghost in the Machine twist is really at the heart of this show to me. And I love the dynamic between Natalie and Riri. It's great. The stuff I didn't like was like the heist stuff. The whole youth gets in over their head with organized crime. That angle is definitely by the numbers. And the entire gang of criminals is kind of basic, but Anthony Ramos kills it as the Hood. He is a fantastic antagonist. He's so good. I loved him in this show. Like, I really liked him in that new Transformers movie. He was great there, and he's great here too. I really hope we see more of him in the future. He's a great actor. He's great as the Hood. I really hope we see more of him in the future. Zelma was another character who immediately shined the second she stepped on screen. All the same things I loved about Sabrina from Chilling Adventures of Sabrina are the same things I love about Zelma. In the comics, she's Doctor Strange's apprentice, and I'm pretty sure she's a part of the Strange Academy books too, so there's probably something lined up for her in the future, either with the Young Avengers, the Champions, or some Doctor Strange thing. But really though, Riri's entire family and her entire side cast, her mom, Natalie, they're all great. This was the first time in a long time that I cared more about a character's character arc than I cared about whatever MacGuffin or Gulp Shido was going to show up next, which is ironic because, spoiler alert, but the Gulp Shido of all Gulp Shidos is the twist villain for the finale.